All right. All right. Let's go ahead and get started. Um, this is going to be fun. I'm really excited to do this today. Welcome to X-Ray with Aquaman. I am Aquaman with Wayne Technologies, and I don't ride dolphins. I don't surf the ocean, but I am indeed the Justice colleague and superhero at Wayne Technologies that has the moniker of Aquaman. Just real brief. Introduction to Wayne Technologies as a company. We are a sourcing as a service company. We help recruiting teams address their top of funnel talent needs by helping them with candidate outreach, identifying top talent, and providing actionable market data that they can take to their teams and assess where their talents are at. So if you have any hard to fill positions, you've had openings for a while, you're needing some work done, let me know. We can always talk about what a partnership might look like and how we can help your team out. That being said, though, one of our core company values is be the rising tide. We strongly believe in uplifting the recruiting and talent acquisition community as a whole. And so we are always happy to host and throw free webinars. This is becoming a regular thing. One of my New Year's goals is to host a webinar once a month. So look for webinars coming up in just a couple weeks. February is a short month, so we'll have a quick turnaround. But that is just a little bit about Waiting Technologies. We're excited to be helping and assisting, as well as giving back to a community that has given so much to us. To begin, we're going to go over a little bit of a roadmap. To start, we're going to look at some Boolean fundamentals, make sure we've got the groundwork laid for a successful search. Then we're going to go into essential X-ray search terms, just a couple of them, things to get you started. My next webinar is going to be on advanced X-ray, so keep that in mind. We're going to just lay the groundwork for some simple X-ray searches that'll allow you to navigate and get around LinkedIn Recruiter. Then we're going to cover some of the tools that I use and we at Wayne Technology use that help us make sourcing more accessible and an easier time for all of us. Then we're going to go to live practice. So for those of you in chat, start thinking about maybe some of your open roles that you've got right now, one that has been difficult to find or maybe a high priority. We're going to pull something live from chat if we can and work on it as an X-ray search. And then we'll move to Q&A. Just as a side note, I'm getting over bronchitis. Hopefully my voice holds out, but if I cough or pause, that would be why. So here we go. Let's dive into this. Starting with Boolean fundamentals. It's highly important to understand the three major categories of Boolean searches. You are intelligent people. You can read what's on the screen. Essentially, what we need to understand is, are we being restrictive or permissive with our searches? Anything that is and or not is being restrictive. You're telling your searches that these things must appear or these things must not appear, as opposed to or that is being inclusive. This becomes really important as you start to talk with your hiring managers. You're realizing that your company's jargon and lingo doesn't match all the time with how the rest of the world will talk about a same function. Using that or statement to broaden your searches and help you be more successful at finding people that do the same things, just worded differently or said differently. That being said, there are definitely times to be restrictive and to not have a place that is very useful and very much needed. Hence, the basic Boolean operators. These Venn diagrams will give you a nice visual. I'm a bit of a visual learner as to what you are doing with these terms. Really, Boolean is just word math. Growing up and in the education system, I learned the acronym PEMDAS when I was in algebra, high school algebra. And PEMDAS stood for parentheses, exponentials, multiplication, division, addition, subtraction. Really what we're doing with PEMDAS is creating that in word math by using parentheses and quotations. We're following our order of operations as we proceed with our Boolean fundamentals. Boolean reads left to right, just like the English language. And so if you're using parentheses, what you're doing is you're giving priority to whatever is in there to occur first. They create group search terms, or kind of like a silo in which that particular function operates. Quotations are particularly useful in that they restrict branching. As you can see, is the example on the screen here is I've got developer in quotations. That will only yield developer. However, if I use develop in a search string, that will also yield developer, developing, developed, as well as the base word develop. So there are times that you want to use quotations to be restrictive, and there are times that are not. But essentially, that is the fundamentals of Boolean so that you can start building successful X-ray searches, or whatever search platform you're using is all based on these fundamental Boolean objectives. So now that we've got the Boolean fundamentals down, let's move to the around function. I'm a big fan of GIFs. Hopefully, the communication is all right, and you can see SpongeBob bringing it around town, because around function is one of the first fundamental X-ray search terms that you are going to need. With that, this is how the around function works. You have a term, you put around and in parentheses however many words or terms you would like to be searching within, and then your second term. The primary use case for the around function is location, for me at least. You can use this all the time if you're trying to get around doing particular things. If you're looking for a software developer who builds or codes in Python, and you don't want someone that just lists all of the skills, you can use the around function to find that they say specifically they're coding in Python or they're developing in Python. Um, but the around function becomes particularly useful when you have geographically doesn't have to have the quotes if it's just one word. Um, but substitute United States and throw it around. I always use 5 with connections. And the reason I use connections is every LinkedIn profile lists how many connections they have. So connections can be your anchor word in basing how to find a location. Uh, Generally, depending on the information that they've got on their profile, and how it appears. The location will be within 5, sometimes 10. It can be weird, but generally 5 does what I need it to do. So, quote United States around 5 connections will say ensure that the word or phrase United States appears within 5 words of connections. That's the around function. So here's a couple other Google X-ray search tips. A couple things that we're looking for. The range finder. This is one of my favorite tricks. It's just 2 periods, dot, dot. This is great for narrowing years of experience, or the likelihood of finding an email address via connections. Excuse me. So the example you can see on the screen is 400 dot dot 500. This is looking for a number on a profile that falls within that range. With this, you're going to pick up something if someone says, "Oh, I closed 405 deals." Maybe they're an account executive, closed 405 deals this year. That would pick this up. But the reason I'm looking at 400 to 500 range is the moment someone hits 501 connections on their LinkedIn profile, LinkedIn says that they have 500 plus connections. So that 500 has now become, again, an anchor, just like the word connections, an anchor that I can base searches off of. Uh, the reason I look for 400 to 500 is people with a lot of connections generally have an easier time using different tools to find their email addresses so I can reach out to them. Other ways to do that, if you're looking for people that list their email addresses on, you can look for, in quotes, at gmail.com. Because that'll do the exact same thing. You're going to find people that list that on their profile or out whatever their email domain is. But this also works in the sense that if I'm looking for years of experience. I need someone who's experienced, the likelihood of them having completed X, Y, or Z in their field that's closely tied to their years of experience. I can then put in a date range. I can say I'm looking for someone that has employment listed between 2010 to 2015. If I'm looking for someone that has been working in the workforce for at least 10 years, um, that those numbers will also register. It's not a perfect science, but you can get down pretty well what you're looking for. The next Google search trick that I highly recommend learning is the in title function. This is great for finding titles on LinkedIn, and that is because the way LinkedIn presents a unique web page for an individual is just as you can see on the screen. It'll list their name dash and then whatever their title is. It pulls the title at their current company. Sometimes you'll get companies in LinkedIn URLs, not always, but it generally will pull uh, what their current title is and something from their headline. So if I told LinkedIn I want to find something or someone with in title Linux SME, this is what would result. Richard Tran, who is a Linux SME and security expert, would be one of those search results. You can see a couple highlights there. We're going to get to that. That's a tool, but this is one of the key fundamental X-ray search terms that I recommend everyone becomes familiar with. One of the hangups with this is that for every term you want to include in a title, you have to include in title. So I can't say I want to look, in title colon, open up my parenthesis and say developer or engineer or um, expert or whichever and be inclusive that way. I'd have to do one large parenthetical and say I want in title colon developer or in title colon engineer or in title colon dot 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 continue on. But that's how the in title function works. Excellent for sourcing with LinkedIn. If you're looking for profiles because of the way LinkedIn generates profiles to the outer web, this is what you're looking for. Next, we're going to become ninjas. This is what helped me learn my X-ray Boolean the most and has been one of the most useful approaches for me. Use incognito mode if you're on Google Chrome, whatever the incognito equivalent is, use it. What this is doing is it allows you to view LinkedIn profiles like Google does, the Google machine. Try it if you go to linkedin.com or if you go to an incognito window, put in a simple search. I always use site colon linkedin.com/in. Site colon being another really important one if you're getting around LinkedIn, getting around X-ray searching into LinkedIn. LinkedIn.com/in always yields profiles. You're not getting posts, you're not getting jobs, you're not getting additional content. That /in is super important. But use incognito windows when you're searching. You're going to be able to look at profiles the way that an objective search engine is looking at it. Start looking at those profiles once your results have come up. Start looking at your profiles. Look at what's consistent. Look at what are the staples on a profile, not your clickable links that's taking you to different places within their profile. Look at what words are consistently appearing on your profile. So again, before I move on, here's our last Google search trick: site colon linkedin.com/in. Going through my presentation, I realized I don't have a slide for that. That is super, super duper important if you are going to get around LinkedIn recruiter seats, if you want to look at profiles. So I'll get that adjusted before I send slides out to anyone attending, just so that you have that data, but super important. All right. Next. Okay, let's see. Caitlin's letting me know we've got a question in chat. Katrina, does the range really work still. It hasn't been working properly for me for a long time. Yes, Katrina, it does indeed still work. I used it yesterday, working on a role for a client looking for sales people, uh, salespeople in Texas. Um, Salespeople are hard to identify. I mean, this was any kind of sales, anything from solar to door to insurance to software. So finding people that have the likelihood of contact information available, I use the 400. I actually took it down to 200, but 200 dot 500, and it yielded the exact results that I needed it to do. It can be um, finicky to learn and to really use, and as far as I'm aware, it definitely still works. Um, but yes, great question. Um, Here in the presentation, we've got Boolean in real life. This is a real search. This is what a search would look like for me. Again, we're going to get into the software. I break things down line by line so I can see exactly what it is that I'm looking for. So site colon linkedin.com/in again tells me I'm looking only for LinkedIn profiles. And then you can see here I put in title manager or in title team lead, using quotations there to capture both words of team lead. I'll take either option here. And then simple parentheses, I'm looking for a Linux subject matter expert or Linux expert. And I'm looking in the United States. So I'm using my around function tied to connections. And then I'm using my date range to narrow in some years of experience. The years of experience, again, is not foolproof with the rangefinder. Connections generally is. So that's what Boolean looks like in real life. Uh, Here are some tools that make sourcing easier, and I really hope that this helps you all. Uh, brackets, brackets. I love brackets. It's a text editor, makes writing Boolean a lot more readable. It's a free download at https://brackets.io. Um, it's a simple text editor, numbers your rows. To my knowledge, it's used a lot in programming. But this allows me to export text documents to my team if I need Boolean reviewed. If I'm running into issues, it makes it really shareable, on top of being really readable. Um, Highlight this is another tool that we use. This is a free Chrome extension. Again, all these tools are free, so feel free to use them. Highlight this multi-highlight Chrome extension. I'll show you how we're going to use that when we dive into live sourcing here in just a moment. But this tool makes reading profiles so much more ingestible. You can scroll through profiles in 30 seconds, looking at some of the key things that you're looking for, if you're highlighting the right things. And then last would be Instant Data Scraper. And this comes on the tail end of sourcing. So once you've run your LinkedIn search and you've run your X-ray search into LinkedIn, you've got all of your profiles, you're looking specifically at those. The way to add them to a CSV or to a Excel spreadsheet, Google Sheets, whatever you're using, so that you can look at those profiles, keep them all in one place, and maintain your data. Instant Data Scraper is amazing. What it'll do is it'll pull all of those LinkedIn URLs right from your Google search. You can copy them, you can download a spreadsheet, drop them right into wherever your destination is. That way you retain your search. It functions just like a project if you're using Seek Out or LinkedIn Recruiter or HireEasy, whichever other platforms you might be using. This works just the same in creating a project and maintaining what you're looking for. Just as a side note, as you are scraping profiles, you're conducting your searches, save your Boolean and build iterations on them. It'll help you become more efficient at identifying what's working and what's not in your use cases. Um, so we're going to practice here in just a minute. Let's get to questions. Uh, let's see. Where are we at? Caitlin, thank you so much for managing this. Let's see. How do you go about a Google search results being limited to 300? Excellent question. So Google does cap. It can cap at times the amount of search results you're getting. If you're getting the screen that says "check here," I am not a robot. That's a sign you're doing good things. Ideally, if you're doing X-ray searches, because it's not quite as robust as other sourcing platforms, I try to keep my searches below 200 profiles, and if I can, below 100 profiles. I try to get as specific as possible so that I know that the results I've got are more than likely going to be exactly what I'm needing. Um, let's see. Stefan, when you type this into Google, will you be adding and after each line? You can. Absolutely, you can. If you're using parentheses, that works the same as an and function. You do not need to type and in between each set of parentheses. If it helps, though, by all means, go for it. Um, let's see. We've got another question here. Can we also give in title and the titles in an or function? Yes. Again, you just have to attach that in title to uh, each term that you're looking for in the title. Let me back that up real quick before we get to live sourcing. So right here, Boolean in real life, you're going to see on line 2. I'm using that in title manager or in title team lead. It would not work reliably if I just put in title colon open parentheses manager or quote team lead. You need to attach that in title to each piece to reliably pick up the title piece each time. Uh, Summer, instead of using United States, we insert a city or state? Absolutely, all the time. I mentioned earlier I was working on a role for a client yesterday. Um, they're looking for anybody in Texas that has sales experience, and so my search was Texas around 5 connections, yielded the results that I needed there. Can use the extensions with Chrome Incognito. I'm not positive on that. That's generally where I start to build my searches, but we'll find out. James, I am more than happy to share a copy of the slides. Feel free to reach out to me via LinkedIn afterwards. Um, let's see. Are there any other ways to narrow down the location without the around function? Yes, there are ways. A lot of the times, what you're having to look at is people in major metropolitan areas, and so what I would look for example, if I was looking for someone in, uh, let's say New York, because that's an easy one, I would put in quotes New York, comma space New York. Because that's how it appears on LinkedIn profiles. If I'm looking for someone in Chicago, I could also put Chicago the around function is that if people list that they live, in that same example in Chicago, or as well as the Chicago metropolitan area, I'm inclusive of both because I'm really just looking for the word Chicago around connections. But if you know the specific area that you're looking for, um, it works really well. You can definitely use that as city, comma, space, state. That will, however, also pull up job history. So if someone used to work in Chicago, if I put, Chicago, comma, space, Illinois, if someone listed that, 3 jobs back, they were located in Chicago, that will also pick up. Um, so again, that's why I like the around function. I'm tying it and anchoring it to connections, which is where people's locations are always listed. Um, let's see. Gary, we've got a suggestion. Looks like we'll come back to that in a moment. All right. Gavin, thank you for posting in that. Will the range finder eliminate any irrelevant information, i.e., you're looking for a software engineer with 10 years of experience, but you don't want to see their work experience as a waiter or a restaurant? Uh, Stefan, that is an excellent question. That is one of the hangups that using the range finder for years of experience can run into. Um, I haven't found a way to reliably work around that. I'm really throwing the dates to give me a range to look at, and then narrowing from there. It gives me a starting place. I primarily use the range function to look at number of connections and the likelihood of me being able to reach that person, verify that it's a real account, things like that. All right. I think that gets us current in chat. All right, we are going to move on to some live sourcing here. So let's practice. We're going to come back to this slide. We'll do additional questions as we go. But Caitlin gathered up for me and messaged directly to me a couple different roles that we could look at. We're looking people near Chicago, Stamford, Connecticut, or Dina, Massachusetts that are in investment operations and understand trade and life cycle. Ideally, are in a client-facing role. Okay, this sounds like a good one. Let's see. That's from Gary. Excellent. I saw your suggestion there. We've also got an embedded software engineer, bare metal programming, military power supplies. Let's see if we can get to both of these. Uh, all right, so we've got Gavin and Gary. We're gonna start with. It looks like Gary's popped through to me first, from what I can see. So we're gonna start there. Oh, there's a sneak peek in the last slide. Pretend you didn't see that because it's a funny joke. I like setting myself up for that one. All right, so this is what brackets looks like. I'm going to show you firsthand what these tools look like, and I'm going to write some notes. Let me zoom up because that is tiny. All right, here we go. Let's see. Can you all see that okay? Is that big enough? Do we need bigger? Okay. All right, here we go. So, Gary, if you want to be handy in chat, we will get going. I'll probably have some questions for you. We're looking for people near Chicago, Stanford, or Dedham. I don't know if I'm saying that right, and if I'm not, feel free to make fun of me because I'm just learning to explore different parts of the United States. Um, all right, so I'm just going to list a couple of the things we're looking for first, so that everyone else can see. We are looking for someone in investment operations, understand trade life cycle, and are in an ideally in a client facing role. Okay, so we're looking on trade life cycle and client facing. Other keywords: custody, middle office, investment operations, security settlement, trade settlement. Okay. Um, okay, here we go. We're gonna get started here with this. So the tricky part with multiple locations is that using X-ray, it's most efficient doing one location at a time. Thankfully, if you're using the around function, you can just drop and substitute uh, those particular things. So we're going to start with site colon linkedin.com/in to get our profiles. For the sake of the training, since we went over Boolean fundamentals, I will include and as the breaks here. We'll start with Chicago for you, Gary. So we're going to go Chicago around 5. Yep, there we go. Connections. We're looking for investment operations. So with that, I'm going to break that up as that might not be their title, but those are the things in particular I'm wanting to see. I'm going to do investment and operations. We're looking specifically someone that has trade lifecycle as well as client facing. Um, let's see. We're going to start with something really specific, and we can branch out from there. So we're going to look for trade. We're going to look for life cycle, just in case they're putting trade or trading. Uh, life cycle uh, around. We're gonna go 4 here. We're gonna keep it fairly. Actually, we're gonna go 3. We're gonna keep it fairly narrow, and we're gonna list trade. Gary, you added years of experience. Okay. Ideally in the range of 2+ years. Anyone with more than 8 or so generally are priced out of the role. Okay, excellent. Okay. So with our rangefinder here, we're looking for someone 2 to 8. Um, Picking up junior end of experience can be more tricky with the rangefinder because even those that are highly seasoned are going to be likely listing these dates. But if we're looking 2 to 8, 8 years ago was 2000. What was that? 2014, 15, 2015. Oh my goodness, has it already been that? 2015 would be 8 years ago. So we'll go ahead and list 2015 dot dot. And 2 years ago, we'll say 2021. This is going to pull up people that are more experienced with jobs that fall within that. But again, we're going to do this with a starting point. So we're going to copy all of this and see where we start. Here we go. I might have an error somewhere. Did not match any documents. Make sure all words are spelled correctly. Linked. Oh, that would be why. I'm missing the D in LinkedIn. Here we go. All right, so about 19 results. This would be a place I would start looking at. If I wanted to do the same thing, copy all of that, and we're going to open a incognito tab. We're going to put the same thing in, and we'll see how Google is looking at these profiles as a start. Now it says 2,150 results. I'm not sure where that's coming from. Let's scroll down to the bottom, and there's still only 19. Google is lying to us. This is fun. Um, so let's see. Let's start looking at some of these profiles and see if there's an adjustment we need to make. Gary, it looks like you are in chat. So I want you looking at these with me. We're going to be looking. This guy says 20+ years experience in asset management, probably too senior for you. Right here, just jump down. We got client onboarding associate with William Blair. This is quite literally how I go through my looking at profiles. Financial services, global boutique and expertise in investment banking. Perfect. Northern Trust, and was a tax consultant beforehand. So we're looking at an analyst, officer, client onboarding associate. Um, Gary, how senior would this profile be in relation to what you're looking for? He would be a rehire. Okay. Oh, Gary, what company do you work for? I'm assuming Northern Trust. Okay, awesome. So yeah, so I mean, we're on the right track here. Let's take a look. So if we wanted to look for people that are not at Northern Trust, then what we could do since we don't have this one in yet. Not and I type my not functions. I keep them on the same line so I can see specifically what I'm not wanting. But we're going to put Northern Trust. Now we're going to plug this back in. So now I'm telling it simply I do not want it to return anybody that has Northern Trust on their profile. Could be good, could be bad. We'll find out. All right, for results, we are narrowing down. Let's open all of these. Okay, we got Mason here. Spent a year studying investment. All right. Jag Capital was an independent contractor, analytics intern. So this guy would be really intern, just starting, so maybe a little too junior. Yes, possible. So that this profile could be maybe on the junior side, but it looks like we're in the uh, right wheelhouse here. We got Jeanette, NTT Data Services, financial services consulting, senior manager, principal consultant. Odds are here we're looking at someone who's probably too senior. Vice president, Northern Trust. I'm not sure why that pulled up. I told it not to pull Northern Trust. So, excuse me, too senior. Raymond Alvarez, middle office SME, OTC. Okay. Again at Northern Trust. Interesting that it's still pulling that up. I would have to figure out if I have something typed in wrong. Um, could be. Uh, analyst contract. So an intern in April 2014 might be just above that senior end. Stefan Rangefinder could be making that is a possibility. All right. All right. So Gary, we have a place to start for searches. I do want to show what some of these other tools do here. I'm going to drop this in chat, so feel free to copy it if you need. Tweak it, play with it. I'm always happy to help. But if well, let's find out if oh no, my Chrome extensions won't work. To go back to that um, question, do my Chrome extensions work in incognito? Does not seem to be the case. Use the minus sign. Yeah, let's try it. Let's see what happens. I didn't mention this earlier, but there are a handful of signs that you can use in place of the words for the Boolean operators, and is the plus sign, not is the minus sign, and or is the vertical pipe. If you don't know where the vertical pipe is, don't feel bad. I had been a sorcerer for a long time before I figured out where that is. But if you go just above your enter key on the right side of your keyboard, you've got your uh, um, backslash, forward slash, whichever one that is. The shift version of that is your horizontal or your vertical pipe for or. Let's see if this results. We got 8 results here. So it did change things using the minus sign. Might be talking a little differently, and that's okay. But let's start here. Again, for results, not a surprise because we knew that that's what the case is. We'll jump into not a couple more. So this is the way that I would use these additional tools. We've got highlight this. We're going to name this, we've got Northern Trust. Right, a couple things that we were looking for is trade. We're looking for client. and we were looking for investment. All right, so we'll save that one. I've got my style set, so those things will highlight green. And you can see already on my page, things are highlighting green. I would open up an additional one. We're going to name this one Northern Trust 2. And what we're going to look for, let's see, we had a couple of additional options that we were looking for. Middle office was one. So we'll put middle. Oh, Caitlin, thank you for telling me to zoom in. Sorry, guys, I'm terrible at this. There we go. Let's make this more readable. Let's see. We're going to start over there. Northern Trust 2. We're looking at words for middle. Let's look for operations. And then we'll look for, we put client in the other one. We'll look for cycle. We'll put that in a blue styled text box. And I'm going to turn it on. So we're using. So what you can see now on my screen is this makes my screen a whole lot more ingestible. What we're looking at now is highlighted points of interest on a profile. I don't want to look at just how many highlights there are on a profile. It's just directing my attention to the appropriate place. So I jump right here into this profile, Vice President, Investment Banking, or Investment Performance Manager at Northern Trust. Coworker of yours. Not sure why it's pulling up Northern Trust still. We're going to have to play around with that and figure out exactly what we're looking for. But to showcase the tools, what we're looking at here, multi-highlight makes it so I can jump directly onto their profile and see what information I'm needing to ingest and pay attention to. So that's that tool. It's super helpful. The next tool is Instant Data Scraper. Again, free download on the Chrome extensions. It looks like a little Pokeball. So I'll go ahead and click that. And what it's going to do is it's going to map out my table here. This is looking real interesting. So we're going to try another table. And here we go. 8 results is what Google tells me I have. If I map my table correctly, I can see all of their LinkedIn URLs right here. Just a few of them. That does not look like 8. Looks like 6. So even with few results, Google seems to want to lie to me, and that's okay. I would then at that point go to docs.new, since we operate out of Google Docs. Oh, not Docs. I want Sheets. That was an amateur mistake. Oh. And now I can paste. And what I'm looking at is all of my data here. I can see title again because that's how LinkedIn processes their data. I can see company because that's how LinkedIn shares their data. So we could have fun, and instead of not Northern Trust, we could say not in title. Northern Trust. And this is a good sign. I am not a robot, I promise. All right, so now we've got more results. These will be people who are not currently employed by Northern Trust. So hopefully that helps you, Gary. Feel free to ping me if you have any questions. Let me share this updated search string with you to find people that are not currently working at Northern Trust. Maybe they worked there previously. But there is that one for you. Let's get to round 2. We'll cruise through this one so that we can get to some questions and answers. So let's see. Flora, you have a question about the around function. Let's see. Yes. So let me clarify that then. The around function works that I'm telling Google to look for two terms or sequences of letters that occur around each other. So if I say I want to find United States around connections, and I put that five, I'm saying within five terms or groups of letters, I'm going to find both United States and connections. So we'll jump into brackets here, and I'll showcase what that looks like. Um, maybe in a different way. We're going to open up a new tab. Let's see. Here we go. So if I'm doing this, and Floor, if you're still in chat, what's something that you or a role that you work on regularly that I could give you an example with? And while we're waiting on that, we're going to get started on Gavin's. Uh, since you had asked, an account executive in Brazil. Okay, what kind of an account executive, Floor? Are we talking software sales? Um, what kind of account executive are we looking at? SaaS. Perfect. Okay, so to give you an example, Floor, we're going to do Gavin's. I'd already mentioned that, but to showcase what the around function could look like, if I were to put um, in parentheses software as a, or um, let's see. So if I were to put in title account, I am messing this up royally. Here we go. In title account and in I'm on struggle bus mode here. In title account and in title executive. That will pull people that are currently in this. Now I want to know that they have experience selling SaaS products, right? So I'm going to look for uh, SaaS around, and we'll say four. Again, I'm trying to keep it close, and we'll put sales. What this is going to do and what it's going to look like is if someone says um expert in SaaS products and sales, products and sales are two terms. And so what I'm saying is I need within four terms, these things will appear. So I have both SaaS and sales occurring within four terms of each other. And so, that would pick it up. Now, if someone said um, SaaS products, Ninja, let's see, Office Ninja, um, let's see, Office Ninja Warrior, uh, and sales. I've got, let's see here, got one, two, three, four, five, six. There's five terms in between them, so that would not pick it up. If that makes sense. So that's what you're telling it to do. You're looking for this term and this term with four or fewer terms in between them. Uh, okay, let's jump into Gavin's here. We've got Gavin. We're looking at an embedded software engineer. We're looking at bare metal programming. That is new to me. I'm not sure entirely what that is. We're looking at military power supplies. And we need them in the DFW area. Okay. So Gavin, I see that you are in chat here. Link Consulting DFW, right? Um, We're going to pull for bare metal programming. Can you give me an example of some of the maybe the softwares or tools that these individuals would be using? Developing a target environment without an operating system. Okay. That sounds like some really cool stuff that is definitely over my head, but we're going to see what we can do to help out. Let's see, Caitlin, thanks for doing some homework for me. We've got two examples of bare metal programming, two examples of bare metal hypervisors or virtual machine monitors that programmers may work with are VMware and kernel-based virtual machines. Program in C. Okay, so we have something to start with. Let's get going with this then. We're going to pull up brackets again. So we're looking for um, Caitlin, my chat disappeared. There we go. I can see your messages to me now. Okay, so we're looking for in title, would say embedded, right? And in title software. Um, and then I'm going to put this one here. We're going to get a little tricky here. We're going to have some fun. In title, we're going to put developer or in title engineer. Right. We're looking at bare metal programming. So we're going to put, just to give us a baseline, since this is something that I have not researched before, we're going to look at bare, metal or, let's see, we were looking at VMM virtual machine monitors, right? So, or virtual machine. We'll leave it at that because that will pull in additional stuff if we need it. Um, that'll pull in both kernel-based virtual machines as well as VMMs. Bare metal could also show up as um, bare metal. Okay, we'll start there. All right, and we need them in the DFW area. So we're going to put, well, we'll start with Dallas since it's always Dallas Fort Worth, right? Um, it can also appear as DFW, I've seen. So just get creative with it. We're going to put Dallas around 5 connections. Caitlin, thank you for the 5 minute warning. Let's throw this in and just see where we're started with. Here we go. Oh, I did not say. I made an amateur mistake again here. We got to go site colon LinkedIn .com/in. Here we go. 2 results. That's awesome. I would say we probably need to start expanding somewhere. Um, we're going to have some fun with this. Excuse me. Let's look at these profiles. Maxim integrated. 5 years there as an embedded software security. Created C demos and firmware for hardware secure authenticators. Okay. C, C++, Python, post silicone verification. All right. Is this kind of profile that you would be looking for, Gavin? Looking for more power supplies. Okay. Let me share this real quick. And Gavin, feel free to message me as well after the webinar, and we can play around with this. Oh, we're having some fun with some emojis here. A bunch of frowny faces because we went colon and open parenthesis. Reason number two, I really like brackets, is it does not convert things to emojis. Let's look at Dario then real quick. Here we go. Lockheed Martin, thank you, Summer, for that suggestion. It popped right up. Software engineer, embedded missile software developer, embedded software testing. All right. He looks better. Okay. So what I would do at this point, Gavin, if I were working on this role for me, is I would take this, work with you, and figure out what is it about this profile that looks good, and where can we expand from here. Because as we've got in our text brackets, we've got a lot of ands. I'm very restrictive. This is my only permissive search string. And so expanding on this or expanding up on the in title section would be where I would start. Let's connect, and maybe I can help bounce some ideas off. Before we wrap up, are there any other additional questions anyone wants answered? Always, you can always add me on LinkedIn. I try to respond as quickly as I can. Um, Here is my LinkedIn. If you guys want to drop a connection, follow, let me know. Call me Chris, call me Aquaman, whichever one works best for you. I respond to both. But yeah, if you guys have any questions, let me know. We'll send out the slides as well as the recording at a later time. Once that's done processing, it'll probably go out later this week. I'll have to get with Caitlin to see how quick that turnaround is because she's done this before and I have not in using the software to get it all out. But we'll make sure that it's accessible to everybody. So if you need slides or want the recording, just ping me, let me know, and we can help you out. But I got to end on my final slide. I just realized this. I didn't go back to my final slide. As Aquaman, I've got to go. My fish need me. Let's have a sense of humor and have fun while we're working, or else it's not worth it, right? Have a good day, everybody.